This is the podcast overview for the objectives for Chapter 4, Consciousness. So you want to make sure that you're taking a look at these objectives before you dive into the reading. The chapter is going to start by defining what it means exactly to be conscious versus unconscious, and it even delves into what your subconscious is. It's important to understand those differences, which leads into the different levels of consciousness, right? And then getting into the need for sleep and the biological processes involved in sleep, what happens to your body if you don't get enough sleep, how your anatomy and your physiology all work for the best when the body has been allowed that restorative function of sleep. If you remember when we were covering physiology and we went over the parasympathetic nervous system, this is the system of the body that is responsible for rest and does most of its repairing of the body during periods of rest, right? Whereas the sympathetic nervous system is that which is involved in like the fight or flight response, periods of intense activity, anxiety, preparing one for whatever's coming. So this plays a big role in the nervous system. Sleep affects so much of what we do. We'll look at the different stages of sleep and explain the importance of REM stage of sleep in particular. This is sort of where all the action happens, is in the REM stage. It's where deep sleep occurs and dreaming, and it's where the body restores mostly. And so if we're not getting enough sleep, we may not be in the REM stage for long enough for our body to recoup, which is why sleep deprivation can have multiple effects on our body and our cognition and our memory and just all sorts of things. We'll look at some different sleep disorders, which goes along nicely with the Hawk reading on sleep this week. We'll look at different theories of why people dream. So again, that plays right into the Hawk reading and the discussion posting for this week. Why do people dream? What are the purpose of dreams? What are some differences that we see culturally and gender-wise when it comes to the content of dreams? And then we'll kind of take a turn from sleep and dreams, and we'll look at an altered state of consciousness called hypnosis, looking at the process of how hypnosis is achieved. What does it mean for someone to be hypnotized? What's going on in the brain when that happens? So there's some different theories there. So there's some physiology of what's going on, but then there's some theories as to how it actually works. And more importantly, how hypnosis can be used as a tool, a very beneficial tool, in ways like meditation to help people in therapy. It can be used as a sort of like an adjoining treatment or therapy along with other things that the patient might be doing that will help the person to achieve states of relaxation or explore content on their mind that they wouldn't otherwise be able to look at or process. We'll look at psychoactive drugs and be able to distinguish between physical and psychological dependence on drugs. And why this is important is because when we take psychoactive drugs, it alters our state of consciousness, right? It can produce hallucinations and delusions, and so it can alter what our brain is doing and responding to. So we'll look specifically at the effects of stimulants on the brain. Depressants and hallucinogens all give varying effects on the brain. Each actually works on different regions of the brain. So this might be a good place to go back to Chapter 2 and take a look at all the physiology stuff. If you're not remembering exactly parts of the brain and what they're responsible for, it would be good to kind of piggyback on that chapter as you're covering through this material on how these different agents affect our state of consciousness, and how it can be a danger when we're delving into these areas. And then describe how the workings of our consciousness can explain supernatural visitations, and I'll kind of leave that to be further explained when you do the reading, but it's just like kind of like a fun part of psychology that comes up a lot. So that covers Chapter 4, Consciousness.